burdens of leadership. Illidan Stormrage had taught Prince Kael'thas Sunstrider and his people how to siphon energy from artifacts, creatures, and the environment to sate their cravings for magic. Yet, these methods only left the prince and the other elves wanting more. Desperate to find a more satisfactory source of power, Kael'thas looked to fel magic. The prince knew the dangers of consuming the chaotic energy, but he believed it could be controlled. By now, he had confirmed the existence of demon hunters, and he had witnessed them using fel magic without falling under the Legion's sway. If they could bend the power to their will, then Kael'thas reasoned that he could too. Kael'thas convinced Illidan to show him how to feed on fel energies. The prince proceeded cautiously, only drawing on small portions of the magic. Before long, he grew hopelessly addicted to it. The more he had fed on the dark energy, the more it ate away at his mind, body and soul. His reliance on fel magic frayed the bonds between him and his people. Though he was desperate to save the Blood Elves, he secretly became paranoid of them. He was convinced that they saw him as a failure. The truth was that Kael'thas' journey to Outland had not helped his people, it had only made their suffering worse. The wise option would have been to cut his losses and return home, but the thought of marching into Quel'Thalas without a lasting solution for the Blood Elves filled him with shame and anger. It was this pride, this inability to admit defeat, that sealed his fate. The emotions that warred the prince's heart made him unpredictable. Sometimes he played a part of kind-hearted prince. Other times he lashed out at his followers with sudden, unexplained fury. Kael'thas was aware of the Legion's role in the formation of the Scourge. He knew that the demons were responsible for destroying Quel'Thalas and tainting the Sunwell. The Demon Lord eventually reached out to Quel'Thalas. He said nothing of Avina Teague's existence or his plan to invade Azeroth. He focused solely on Illidan Stormrage and the promise of feeding the prince's craving for magic. Kil'jaeden whispered in the prince's mind and claimed that Illidan was holding back the true secrets of using fel magic. The former Night Elf had only shared one way to siphon the chaotic energies, but there were others. Demon hunters had used these more refined techniques, and that was what made them so powerful. The reason Illidan had not granted this knowledge to Kael'thas was simple. He didn't believe the prince and his people were worthy. The former Night Elf saw them as tools to sacrifice in his war against the Legion, nothing more. Kil'jaeden promised to reveal the true power of fel magic to Kael'thas. In exchange, he simply wanted the prince to abandon Illidan's side. The prince refused the Demon Lord's offer, but Kil'jaeden continued making subtle overtures. In the days to come, his words would fester in Kael'thas Sunstrider's addled mind and erode his trust in Illidan Stormrage. Light in the darkness. The constant arrival of Legion forces in Outland drew the attention of creatures across the realm. None was more concerned than Velen, leader of the Draenei. The Legion had always had a presence in Outland, but the demons were now invading on a much larger scale. For over a decade, Velen had done whatever it could to keep the Draenei hidden in settlements scattered across Outland. Despite his efforts, he feared that the demons would discover them. He feared that they would finish what they'd started all those years ago and slaughter what remained of the Draenei. Throughout his hardships, Velen had never abandoned his faith in the Holy Light. He prayed daily for guidance from the Naaru, and when the Legion began its invasion on Outland, he prayed even more. Velen was not the only one who reached out to the Naaru for help. Archmage Khadgar had remained on Outland since the destruction of the Dark Portal, eking out an existence alongside other members of the Sons of Lothar. Over time, he had used his magic to scour the great dark beyond for allies to fight the Legion. Along with Velen's prayers, Khadgar's presence was felt by the Naaru and the Army of the Light. The Army of the Light had been waging a war against the Legion on Argus itself. The Naaru were eager to aid Velen and Khadgar, and they saw Outland as an important battlefront against the demons. However, Their current battles with the Legion were costly and ceaseless. They could not spare soldiers from their army to protect Outland, but perhaps they could still do something to help Velen and Khadgar defend themselves. The Naru, Adal, Uru, and Oros volunteered to assist the peoples of Outland. Aboard a dimensional fortress known as the Tempest Keep, the beings traversed the stars and arrived in an otherworldly corner of the shattered realm called the Netherstorm. Their arrival in the Netherstorm was not by chance. Reality itself was warped in the region. The twisting Nether constantly ate away at the Netherstorm's borders, and its chaotic magic slowly bled into Outland. This made the Netherstorm a dangerous and unpredictable place, but it also made it easy for the Naru to reach. Adal immediately surveyed Outland. The being sensed different enclaves of Draenei scattered across the wastelands, as well as the remnants of the Sons of Lothar. These creatures were divided, but they did not need to be. They all sought to protect themselves from the Legion. Adal searched for a place to rally the factions of Outland and organize them into a defense force. The Naru chose Shattrath City, after sensing holy rituals being performed there. An order of Draenei priests, the Aldor, had moved into a temple in the stronghold's ruins and continued their worship of the Holy Light. Calling on Tempest Keep's energies, the Naru transported itself to the city, leaving Muru and Oros behind to watch over the dimensional fortress. The Aldor welcomed Adal with open arms, and they pledged themselves to the Naru's bidding. Soon the other creatures trickled in Shattrath. Drawn by Adal's holy power, they journeyed from the far corners of Outland. Velen brought only a handful of followers to the city, fearing a Legion trap. He was elated to discover the truth. His prayers had been answered after all. Khadgar and the other members of the Sons of Lothar also braved the wilds and traveled to Shattrath. Many Draenei were wary of these outsiders, but Adal quickly put them at ease. The Naru called on those gathered in Shattrath to find common ground and unite. Divided, they would fall to the Legion. Only together did they stand a chance of surviving. The Naru's advice was welcomed by all. Much like the Draenei, Khadgar and his followers had weathered enough hardships. They were not eager to make new enemies. Under Adal's guidance, the Alliance forces and the Draenei began rebuilding Shattrath as a beacon of hope that would one day shine across Outland. The Scryers. The Draenei and the Sons of Lothar were not the only factions that noticed the Naru's arrival. So did Illidan Stormrage. He saw the resurgence of Shattrath as a potential threat to his war against the Legion. If the Naru gathered enough strength, they would likely move against Illidan's holding and seize control of Outland. Illidan decided to strike while Shattrath was still weak. He ordered Kael'thas Sunstrider to send his Blood Elves against the city and take it by force. Kael'thas requested that the Demon Hunters join the assault, but Illidan refused. They had another purpose, though he remained silent about what that was. Illidan's response angered Kael'thas, but he obeyed the command. He charged a gifted magister named Voranthal with leading the attack. The Blood Elf army soon marched on Shattrath. Among its ranks were some of Kael'thas's most skilled sorceresses. They knew the ways of war, and they were eager to please their prince. In their eyes, Shattrath and its defenders stood no chance against them. Yet, the attack on Shattrath would end before even a drop of blood was spilled. En route to Shattrath, Voranthal experienced a vision. He saw a glimpse into the future, a time when his people would rise to their former glory and live free of addiction and despair. At the heart of this vision was a Naru. Its holy light radiated across Quel'Thalas and eased the torment in every soul of every Blood Elf it touched. Voranthal was forever changed by what he saw. He told his followers of the vision, and he convinced them that the Naru were somehow the key to saving their people. The Blood Elves embraced Voranthal's optimistic future. It was not a difficult choice for them. They had faced hardship after hardship on Outland with little to show for it. The Elves were desperate for a new path to follow, even one based on a fleeting vision. Upon reaching Shattrath, Thrall and his army put aside their weapons and pledged their loyalty to Adal. These Blood Elf newcomers would become known as the Scryers. Thrall sent word to Kael'thas, urging him to join the Naaru in Chatrath. He received no reply. Kael'thas was furious that his army had abandoned him to follow the Naaru. Publicly, he condemned the act as treason and an attack on his sovereignty as prince. Privately, he saw Thrall's defection as evidence of his own failure. This incident widened the rift between Kael'thas and Illidan. The prince demanded that the former Night Elf retaliate against the Naaru, but nothing was done. Illidan was so focused on his demon hunters that he paid little attention to Thrall's army. This only proved to Kael'thas that what Kil'jaeden had told him was true. Illidan did not care about the prince, or his people. Kael'thas would not allow Illidan to sacrifice the Blood Elves as pawns. He lost all faith in the former Night Elf, and he looked to Kil'jaeden as a new benefactor. Some small part of Kael'thas knew that he should not trust the Legion, especially after what it had done to his kingdom. But he could not resist the temptation of fel magic. The prospect of finding new ways to feed on the dark energy dominated his thoughts and made all else secondary. With little hesitation, Kael'thas forged a pact with the Demon Lord, and he agreed to abandon Illidan Stormrage. In return, Kil'jaeden granted the prince what he sought most: more knowledge about using fel magic.